Best Bets is brought to you by BUSR, the official sportsbook of Matt O'Leary NY. Get a 100% match deposit bonus plus 25 casino chips when you sign up using my link, busr.com/Matt. That is busr.com/Matt for a 100% deposit match bonus and 25 casino chips. Let's get into the show. Hello and welcome back to Best Bets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined as always by Newsday's NFL pick columnist, Joe Maniello. Joe, how are you doing?
Doing great, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Last week, we'll do a quick recap on how we did. 3-3 week for me, so up to still a garbage 8-16. Still looking to turn this thing around. Joe, you went 2-3-1, our first push, so 14-9-1 so far on the season.
Yeah.
So we got the New York Giants and the Packers in an early game overseas. So we'll start there. The Packers are heavy favorites at 7.5 points. Who do you like in this game?
I love the Packers in this game. Even if Daniel Jones is healthy, I just don't think this is a good matchup for the Giants. Packers don't have the same firepower as years past. They got a bunch of young receivers, but I think they're going to kick it into gear here. Giants defense is just tons of injuries, not a ton of talent either. There's a lot of young guys. And secondary is beatable. So I think Rodgers is going to have his way. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because, like I said, the Packers aren't as, they don't have Devontae Adams. They have guys still finding their way in the system. But I just don't see the Giants. To me, they're all Saquon Barkley right now. And unless he has an unbelievable game where you can't tackle him, I just don't see the Giants keeping this close enough to cover the spread. I think it's like a 24-10 kind of game. Interesting stat here from bet-sided favorites in London, 22-8-1 straight up favorites, and 19-12 against the spread. That includes last week. So favorites have always done well in this game, and I just think this is a tough match for the Giants. They're 3-1, great start, but they haven't really beaten anyone. They lost to the Cowboys at home, the best team they played. So I think they're in over the heads in this one, unless Barkley goes off, and I just don't see it because they'll be able to focus on him. Daniel Jones isn't 100%. I just don't see this game being close, so I like the Packers to cover and win.
Yeah, me too. I know that number, the 7.5 in what's supposed to be a neutral field, that sounds like a high number, but I agree. I think the Packers are in really good shape here to not only win this game but cover it pretty handedly. As you said, Daniel Jones banged up, unsure if he's going to be able to go in this one, and if he does, what's he look like? I don't think he's looked great so far this year. It's really been more the running game and Saquon Barkley that's been the story offensively. But this Packers team is I'm going to use your favorite word, due for an offensive explosion. But I think this is the week they do it. I think they put up over 30 points on this Giants defense, and I don't see the Giants being able to score enough in order to keep this one close. So I'm going to be with you there and take the Packers minus 7.5 here.
Okay.
As for the New York Jets, they are coming home to take on the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 3 points in this game. So I ask you, Mr. Dolphin, are you taking them this week?
Yeah, I'm still on the Dolphins, even though they have, two is out. But Teddy Bridgewater has been doing this a while. He's a good backup. I think they'll be fine. The thing with the Jets is that, we picked them last week. We both picked them last week. I'm pretty sure you picked them, right?
Yep.
And, great win, comeback win. But it's the Jets, they win one, they lose one. They're 0-2 at home. I saw a great stat on SportsCenter the other night. They're 4-15 at home since 2020.
Oof. That's
the worst record in the NFL. And they've lost 12 straight division games. So I don't like them in this game. I think it'll be close enough because Tua is not playing. But they still have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and extra rest. And I think the Jets' offensive line is so banged up, they're going to have trouble against the Dolphins. They love to blitz. So I think it'll be a tough game. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but something like 24-17, 27-20. I saw a great stat from Action Network here. Teddy Bridgewater, right, for his career, 42-21 as a starter against the spread. That's remarkable. And this is even better, 24-6 against the spread on the road. So this guy covers a lot. And I think with the weapons the Dolphins have and extra rest, I just don't see the Jets defense being able to keep up with these guys. And I think the offensive line will be in trouble. So I like the Dolphins here. I think the spread going into this game was -6, and then Tua got hurt and went down to 3. It seems like a bit of an overreaction to it. I think it should be higher. The spread 4.5, 4 points. So I think you're getting value there with the Dolphins. So Jets have another clunker at home. Well, not a clunker, but they revert to their losing ways at home. Dolphins win and cover.
All right. I was going back and forth on this game, and I said, you know what? Let's make things interesting. I'm going to take the Jets +3 here, and I think it's going to be a back and forth kind of game. I really think both of these teams are going to score a little bit. And with Teddy Bridgewater, we've seen him in the past be able to, play well and cover, but especially on the road. But I kind of, in a way, like the Jets in this spot because they haven't played well at home, but I think the crowd's going to be back and really into it for this game. They're 2-2, which is surprising a lot of people. The Miami Dolphins obviously playing with a backup quarterback. I'm curious to see how that translates in a full game without Tua and what those wide receivers are looking like. But Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed have played really well for the Jets this year, and I think that they come up big in this game, and I think the Jets are a live dog. So I'll take them outright. How about that? 24-20 in an upset win.
You're going to the game, aren't you?
No, I'm not actually. I wish I was, but yeah, 24-20.
Like games, what the record is when you go to games?
It can't be good. I think the last time they won, I usually go to 1 or 2 games a year. I went on opening day. They lost to the Ravens. I think the last
time they won at home, you didn't know what the spread was?
No, yeah. Yeah, it's been a very, very long time. But I think the Jets get it done. So I'll take the Jets +3.
Well, surprised by that. Okay.
Game of the week, Ravens and the Bengals. The Ravens are underdogs in this game against...
No, I'm the favorite by 3, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Yes, I'm sorry. I wrote it reversed. Ravens are favored by 3 in this game. Do you think they get it done against the division rival?
It's a tough call. The way they played at home, it's so weird. I was looking up, I was writing my column last night, finishing up, and the last 2 home games, the Ravens, right, this year, they've only trailed for 14 seconds, and they've lost both games. They had to lead on the Dolphins the whole game until the end. And last week, the only time they trailed was on the last play. The Bills hit a kick on the final play of the game. So they've had big leads in both games, 35-14 against the Dolphins and 20-3 against the Bills, I think it was. And they've lost both games. So I don't know if this defense is going to, even if they get out to an early lead, if they're going to be able to hold it. But I kind of like that. I kind of like the fact that they've done that because I feel like the urgency is on for them to win this game. And the Bengals, I don't know, I picked them to win the division over the Ravens, but I haven't been impressed at all. Even in their wins against the Jets and Dolphins, I feel like they're such so-so wins. And being able to watch that game last week, Thursday night, Burrow didn't look great until the fourth quarter, and they hit on a couple big plays. I just feel like something's not there this year with the team. And I'm not convinced that this is going to go into Baltimore. Also, they've beaten both games last year. They scored 41 points in both games, so you got a little revenge factor there from Baltimore getting embarrassed. And I think it'll be a close game, high-scoring game. I'm going to trust Lamar Jackson at home to get it done. He's 10-5 in prime time, and I think he makes a big play with his leg late to win a close game. Could be a push. Totally see this game being 34-31, 38-35, 30-27, something like that, high-scoring game. So I'll lay the points. I'm not super confident about it. I think it's a stay-away game, but I like the Ravens to bounce back at home.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I probably would stay away from this game, but this has to be the game of the week. But I don't know if I'm sold yet on the Bengals. Obviously, they won a game against the Dolphins this past week on Thursday Night Football when we know the whole story with Tua there. But I think the Ravens, even though they've been a little up and down so far this year, I really love what Lamar Jackson can do for this offense. And to me, I think that's going to be the thing that separates them a little bit. I also think they'll be able to take advantage of the Bengals' banged up and poor offensive line. I think that's one of the strengths of this Baltimore team. So I think it'll be a close game. And I kind of like what you alluded to. I don't know if I would touch this game if this wasn't the game of the week that we're doing on this segment, but I think the Ravens get it done at home and win 30-24. So cover this one by a touchdown, something like that.
Awesome.
How about a best bet? What's one that really sticks out to you on the slate?
All right. So what I do sometimes is, because you write the picks column and you're into it a lot, you look ahead to the others. You look ahead. So I already looked at next week's schedule. For example, we got the a great Thursday night game between the Commanders and the Bears. Ooh, can't wait for that one. So last week I was looking at this, week 4 hadn't started yet. Well, the week 4 Sunday games haven't started. So I'm looking at week 5, and there was one game that jumped out at me even before seeing the spread. Cowboys at Rams. I love this matchup for the Cowboys. And then I saw the spread, and I still can't believe it. The Rams are favored by 5.5 points. I do not understand it. I know they should be favored at home, but in my opinion, you can make the argument that it should be a pick 'em the way they played. But everyone's going to be, the Rams won a Super Bowl last year. They can't start 2-3. They got Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald. Have you seen this team play? They play Monday night. They lost 24-9 to the Niners. Granted, the Niners had their number in the regular season. They've beaten them, I think, 7 or 8 straight times. But the Cowboys match up really well against them. The Rams' offensive line, they lost Andrew Whitworth, who retired. They're down a couple other guys that using second and third string guys. They've allowed 16 sacks through 4 games. Last year, Matthew Stafford, he was sacked 30 times all year. So he's already been sacked almost more than half than last year's number. That's hard to believe. Dallas is tied for second with 15 sacks in the NFL, and they lead the league in quarterback pressures with 65. So to me, Micah Parsons, everyone talks about Aaron Donald living in the backfield. I think Micah Parsons is going to do his best Aaron Donald impersonation this week, and it seems to be a long game for Stafford. Also, the Rams this season, they've been outscored 44-3 in the fourth quarter. It's all Cooper Kupp or nothing. If you watch the Niners game, he had 20 targets, I think. They have no running game, third to last in rushing at like 68 yards a game, I think it is. And they have not looked well at all. So even if they do win this game, I do not see it being a blowout or a touchdown win. It's the NFL, so I can't be shocked if they win 23-20. Wouldn't be shocked. I'm hedging my bet, I guess, there. But I think the Cowboys are going to win this game. Cooper Rush, 4-0 as a Dallas quarterback, 3-0 this year. And I kind of like the fact that he's playing instead of Prescott. Because if Prescott was playing, the line would come down. And the offense has looked really well. I mean, Cooper Rush, he's not Joe Montana, but he doesn't make mistakes and throws a nice ball. I don't think it's that huge of a drop off. For Prescott's obviously better, but they're winning with him, and you don't need to win every game. You don't have to score 40 points every game. They're winning, they're playing well, and the defense does look great. So I love this matchup for the Cowboys. Plus 5.5. Cowboys win outright, 27-20.
Yeah, I was going to use the Cowboys as my underdog pick this week, so I'll talk about this game and then get into my best bet. But just to go on to to build off of what you were saying, I think this Cowboys defensive line is just going to absolutely feast against the Rams offensive line. They've been extremely banged up, and the offense just doesn't look the same this year. And I think the line is a huge reason for that. Micah Parsons is unbelievable. He's a defensive player of the year candidate. And they have Lawrence on the other side, he's not too shabby himself either. So I think both those guys will be wreaking havoc. And I don't think the Rams score that much in this game. I think the Cowboys could win like 24-17, something like that, a little bit of a lower scoring game. But I agree. I think the Cowboys win this one outright. I don't get this number. I think it should be a lot closer to a pick 'em, maybe like a 2-point spread, something like that. But 5.5, I don't know how the Rams win this one by a touchdown. This one seems off to me. I don't know. I don't like it.
I agree.
But as for the best, I'm going to go loop back to my best bet now. I really like the Eagles this week at minus 5.5. They're taking on the Arizona Cardinals, who have been really inconsistent this year. They got blown out in week 1 against the Chiefs, then won a thriller against the Raiders, looked ugly in week 3 against the Rams. And then this past week, they beat the Carolina Panthers. But I just don't think this team's very good. And I know the Eagles are coming on the road, but they are rolling right now, and I don't see this train stopping anytime soon. I wrongly picked against them last week, thinking the Jaguars would keep that one close. They weren't able to keep it close enough, and I think the Eagles win this one pretty handedly. I'll say 34-24 Eagles win.
Yeah, I have the Eagles winning this week too. I'm only a little concerned that they play Dallas next week, so they could, in prime time, they could be looking ahead. But, Arizona could come through the back door. But I agree. I think the Eagles play the first half. The Eagles have outscored opponents by like 60 in the first half. And the Cardinals have been outscored 66-16 in the first half. So they awful starts. So if you bet this game, I think the Eagles' first half line would be the play.
Okay. I like that. Something to keep note of. So I gave you my underdog. What's your underdog pick of the week?
Yeah, usually I try to you got to get balanced with these picks. I don't like it when I like too many favorites because, usually underdogs cover at least 7 or 8 games, sometimes even 9, 10, or 11. So looking at this week, we both agree we don't like too many underdogs.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one stat that I saw that really jumped out to me. So I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think they're getting 5.5 at New Orleans.
Yep.
All right, Seahawks. Check out the stat. In their last 15 games, starting at 10 a.m. We talk about this all the time. Raiders, a West Coast team going East Coast. Starting at the body clock. Starting at the game starts at 1 o'clock on the East Coast, and it's a 10 a.m. start where they usually live. They're 14-1 in their last 15 games dating back to 2018. So to me, that's incredible. I don't know what Pete Carroll is saying or what they're eating for breakfast, but 14-1. I can't believe that stat. Wow. So they did it last week against the Lions. I foolishly picked the Lions last week. I should have avoided that game because the injury report came back to bite me. But the Seahawks, I don't know if they're going to win the game because New Orleans is to me, they're the hardest team to figure out in the league. They could be 0-4. They lost last week in the London game, so now they're in a desperate spot here. I think they'll win, and they're getting some players back. But 5.5, I just feel like Geno Smith and the offense has played pretty well, and they can, lose this game by 3 or 4. I think it'll be a close game. And just can't get over that stat. 14-1 in the last 15 games starting at 10 a.m. until 1 o'clock Eastern start. So Seahawks plus 5.5.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think the Seahawks have a chance to win this game outright. I don't think the Saints are very good. They almost came back and won against the Vikings, but Kamara's banged up, and this Seahawks team, they're scrappy. And Geno's, you got to give him credit. He's played great for them. So I like that pick a lot. That's another one of the few underdogs that I like this week. But that's crazy. I couldn't believe that when you said it.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
So how about a bonus one? What's another one that jumps out?
Yeah, there aren't, not a ton of games I like this week. I kind of like the Niners, but against the Panthers, so I think stink, but I'm not going to take that one because it's a big spread on the road. Here's one that I like. Titans minus 2.5 at Washington. I still think the Titans, a little overrated. I don't think they're the class of the division as they have been in the past. It looks like the Jaguars might actually be the best team in that division. But 2.5 against Washington. Carson Wentz has been sacked NFL high 17 times. The offense looks awful to me. They won the Week 1 game against the Jaguars, but they lost 3 in a row. And I saw some comments this week from Coach Ron Rivera, basically saying that you got to be patient to the fan base. He basically said it without saying it. We don't really have the talent, or we don't have the players. So I don't know what they're expecting. So that was a red flag to me. Like,
yep.
Carson Wentz is on his back the whole game, and now you got the Titans, who to me they're not a great team, but off a nice win at Indianapolis, and they beat the Raiders the week before to get back. Now they're 2-2 at their 0-2 start, and I think this is like a grinded out kind of win where they win the line of scrimmage on both sides with Derrick Henry, and 24-20 kind of game. So the line's only 2.5. So I think they win by at least 3. So I like that. I like that number. Titans minus 2.5.
Yeah, I like that spot a lot for them. I think that's a good place to find them a win. Washington just seems like they're going nowhere quick, and
yeah, they look bad.
And for mine, I am going to go with the 49ers this week. I know you mentioned them. I just think this is more of a anti-Carolina pick. Their offense has been really, really bad. They put up 24 points in week 1, which is okay, but since then 16-22 in a win, and then 16. I just don't think they're going to be able to score enough to cover this number. Baker Mayfield has really, really struggled. Matt Rule, I think, is like he's on borrowed time. So I just don't see this one. I don't see this one going very well, and I think they're just going to hit a stride of some ugly losses in a row here.
I think the under is a good play here. I think the Panthers could get shut out here. It's the Niners have one of the best defenses in the league. They only allow 11 points a game, so I think. Like a 20-0, 20-3 final sounds right to me. So the under could be a good play.
Yeah, I like that too. Definitely something to keep a note on. So we'll recap these quick. Packers minus 7.5. Both Joe and I like them against the Giants in London. Jets and Dolphins. I am on the Jets plus 3. Joe is on the Dolphins minus 3. Game of the week, Ravens and Bengals. We are both on the Ravens minus 3 in this game. Joe's best bet is the Cowboys plus 5.5, which is also my underdog pick. But my best bet is Eagles minus 5.5, with Joe's underdog pick being the Seahawks plus 5.5. Bonus, I'm on the 49ers against the Panthers minus 6.5, and Joe likes the Titans minus 2.5 against Washington. All right, so best of luck in this upcoming week, and hopefully we're talking about some more winners next week. Thanks for joining me, Joe.
Great job. Appreciate it. Thank you.